up? It's me, Awesome Mallet, and as you can see, my sister is not with me because today she is currently having an allergic reaction. Yes, so she's currently covered in pink calamine lotion, so she will not be joining me today. But today, our topic is actually going to be on pain versus pleasure, how you can leverage both to make a change in your life. But before we get into that, as usual, we have our quote of the day. And today's quote of the day is actually by Tony Robbins himself. He said, "Everything you and I do, we do either out of our need to avoid pain or our desire to gain pleasure." I'll say that again. Everything you and I do, we do either out of our need to avoid pain or our desire to gain pleasure. Now, I want your perspective on this. What do you think he's trying to say here? Every decision that we make is either for us to try to move away from pain or to come closer to having some pleasure, having a sense of gain, right? And moving away from if you're trying to become a millionaire quickly, right? Moving away from spending your money on things that won't really get your investment back, or moving towards things that will. Just these certain type of decisions. And before I continue, I just want to ask you to send some loves, some hearts, and some loving, peaceful vibes to my sister so she can recover back quickly and come back to serving you guys and making this world an awesome and much better place. I'm so pumped for today. So, why is it that you do some things and procrastinate on others? Okay, I want you to answer that question to yourself. Why is it that you'll go and watch two episodes on Netflix, but you won't read 10 pages of a book? Or why is it that you're supposed to maybe keep your desk clean or keep your room clean and stuff, but you don't, and instead you're on Instagram scrolling? I personally am guilty of this. Like, I procrastinate a lot. But what is procrastination, right? Why do we procrastinate? Well, procrastination is when we know you're supposed to do something and you don't do it. Like, let's say, you're supposed to eat healthy, right? You're supposed to move away from the junk food and stuff. You're all going to be this. But you don't. You just keep procrastinating, putting aside until one day you reach a point and it's like, nah, let's change now. People procrastinate because there's a sense of, the reason why you procrastinate is because there's, at some level between doing it and procrastinating, you have created a belief to yourself that by putting it off, it's more of a pleasure than doing it, which creates a pain, right? Back to pain and pleasure. These are going to be the two main topics today. Oh, Anissa says can be overwhelming. Yes, sometimes things can be overwhelming. Latifa says, hello Latifa. So going along with the sense of procrastination, right, you hit a point where it's like, okay, by doing this is more painful, so let me put it aside and let me just enjoy what I'm doing. But then at some point, when that day comes closer and closer, when that due date or that deadline for something, you finally get down to what you were supposed to do, like maybe 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 hours ago. Why though? Because that sense of pain that you had before, of putting it off, has been stacked upon. You have stress now. You start to worry. No, what? It's getting closer. It's in the back of your mind. So the pain and the pleasure now, pain is starting to outweigh it much, much more. So you finally decide, okay, I've had enough of this. Let's get it done. Because you realize that the consequences of you not getting it done is greater than you doing it. Think about that for a second. You finally start to do something because the pain gets too much for you, and you finally do it. It outweighs the sense of pleasure of putting it off. And Anissa says, you procrastinate because you don't know how to start and lack motivation. Interesting. You lack motivation, and that's something we're actually going to be talking about today, is how to kind of find a sense of a motivational desire to make sure you get what you want done, right? Instead of putting it off, how do you leverage pain, which we'll be talking about really soon, how to leverage that so you can actually say, all right, I'm over this, let's get to it. So for most people, the fear of loss is greater than their desire for gain. I have a question. Which would drive you more? Keeping your money, your $10,000 away from someone, from trying them to steal that you've been working on for the last 3 months? You've been working so hard for the last 3 months and you made $10,000. Are you going to try to keep it away from someone stealing that money? Or are you going to use that money for a potential to gain another $10,000 in the next 3 months? Which one would motivate you more? Which one would drive you more is my question for you. For me personally, it would be the potential to gain another $10,000 in the next 3 months. Yeah, sure, there's a possibility of someone taking that $10,000, but there's also a greater possibility of me not having to lose that, but instead making some more. I want you to answer that in the comments below. And if you're watching this, hello, thank you. I'm actually on the computer today, so I will not be able to see your loves and likes. And so if you want me to see you, and if you have a question, make sure to drop the comment so I can reply and we can get a great engagement going. Perfect. All right. So we talked about kind of what pain and pleasure is already, and how procrastination kind of steps into it, and what kind of drives you, fear of loss or the potential to gain. Now, there's going to be a certain point when you hit something called an emotional threshold. And an emotional threshold is the I had it moment. It's the turning point. You hear a lot of stories about people when they were the fat. Let's use this a broke example, right? They didn't have any money. They were almost completely homeless. They were starting to get overweight, starting to get depressed. And then all of a sudden, you stop seeing them, right? And then 12 months go by. They're a millionaire. What just happened? You hear the rags to riches story all the time. Why? Because many people, or the fat to fit, right? What happens in that time period? Why did they go from being fat, sitting on the couch, doing nothing, to six-pack abs, muscular biceps and stuff, and be able to almost do 150 push-ups in like 2 minutes? What happened? They hit something called an emotional threshold. That I've had it moment where they're just like, no, I've had it. I'm done being fat. I can't even walk up a few flights of stairs without me losing my breath. I try to stumble. I keep stumbling on my feet. My kids ask me to go and run with them. I keep being bullied or whatever it might be. Or if it's in business, right? You're done being an employee. You know, a lot of people say the thing behind entrepreneurship isn't the money, it's the sense of freedom, because they know what it's like to work that 9 to 5. And I'm not putting that down or anything. If you love what you're doing, go ahead and do it. But as an entrepreneur, right, the 9 to 5, you're just like, damn, man, I can't exceed this amount of money that I'm trying to make. I've had it. It's like, hey, man, congrats. You've received a 50-cent pay increase. You should be very proud of yourself. And you get a $10 bonus at the end of the month. What? $10 for all those extra hours I put in? They've hit that threshold and they're like, no, I'm moving forward. And this is that amazing turning point in your life where pain becomes your friend. Whoa, Ali, what did you just say? Pain becomes your friend? You just said that pain was bad for you. Pain is the reason why you procrastinate and stuff. And then that's also why you get stuff done later on. Yes, I understand what I just said. But this is the point when you hit an emotional threshold that pain becomes your friend. Because, let's use the example of that entrepreneur or that rags to riches story again. They had the 9 to 5 job and they became the millionaire or the billionaire of having that success story. Because throughout that journey, right, you always hear people talking about their why. Back down, sense of freedom? No, because they know what it's like to be down here. They've hit the rock bottom. And the only way back up, the only way is up, right? That emotional threshold is that point where you say, I'm done, I don't want to go back. And they have a motivating desire. Pain, the pain of going back is so much greater than just taking that next step forward to move on, right? If you're losing that weight, you know, if you eat that Twinkie or you eat that next donut, you're gonna go right back where you were, where you couldn't go up those stairs. And you're like, nah, I'm not having that. I do not want to do that. And I am done with this. I want to move on, okay? There's an amazing quote by Tony Robbins. He said, once you hit the emotional threshold, he said, much of our drive in life comes from our anticipating that our actions will lead to a more compelling future, that today's work will be well worth it for the reward of pleasure that is near. So I'll say that again. He said, much of our drive in life comes from our anticipating that our actions will lead to a more compelling future, that today's work will be well worth the effort, that the reward of pleasure is near. Wow. Your work that you're doing today is going to lead you to where you want to go tomorrow. Do you understand what I'm kind of saying there? Once you use the pain, use that pain that's been stopping you, okay? Let's get an example in, okay? You're trying to work towards building your $1 million business. I mean, let's keep using the 9-to-5 example here because I just used it. So you gotta create that relatability. You're trying to create that $1 million business. And if you don't wake up in the morning saying, all right, let's get this going. I'm pumped. I'm ready to move. I'm ready to take it to the next level, right? That emotional threshold has not been hit yet. And it's okay sometimes if you don't always have to hit it, but there's a certain turn point that when you can hit it, you will go up there. By you understanding that, by me waking up, doing my morning routine, getting that exercise in to build those muscles, and then having that extra energy to work from putting those extra hours from, let's say, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., working a full 12 hours, more than other entrepreneurs, I'm going to get up there. You know, by taking that first, oh my gosh, excuse me, I apologize for that. By you taking that first step to move to the next level, you know, oh my gosh, I'm almost near that pleasure, right? And that pleasure might be whatever it is, whether that's that $1 million sound, whether it's the Ferrari you've been wishing for, whether that's the Lamborghini SUV for your wife or your kid or whoever you're trying to please, right? You always have something that's like, that's the goal. That's that. Or it's that freedom, right? You want to be able to just be free from these things, all right? So what can you do, all right? What are some things that you can do to take it to the next level? I know this might be a really short Facebook Live today, but that's okay, right? If you have any questions right now, send them in because I'm wrapping up very soon. So using your pain and your pleasure to motivate you, right? Before I move on to what you can do, the changes, I want to mention this last thing. You are not driven by your pain. You're driven by a fear of pain. You're not driven by pleasure. You're driven by a belief, a sense of certainty that by taking that action, you're going to be one step closer to getting pleasure. You're driven by beliefs and fear. Those are the underlying causes behind the root of the problem. I want you to think about that, okay? Think about these certain little words I'm saying. If something that resonates with you today, I want you to take that and I want you to use it in these next 4 steps, okay? Or 5 steps that I'm gonna tell you just now. I want you not just to take in the information that I'm saying and not use it, but if something that I said resonates with you, use it. If it doesn't, discard of it. You know, we suffer from something called information overload. And if only thing that you're going to take in is information without action, it's not worth it, right? Tony Robbins said, knowledge is not power. Knowledge is potential power. You got to take the action that I'm going to be telling you today in order to stop saying you lack motivation. Or I can't do that, man. I will do it later. Okay, no. That stops today. Today that stops because you did not know about these things in the past. I'm going to assume. You did not know these action steps you can take to change it. But now you do. So it's your decision. You're either going to take these action steps that work with you, or you're just going to take it, forget about it, and stay the same. Race and I put on these lives not to just create a media presence of us, putting out these lives to actually make a difference and an impact. And if you think someone needs to hear this, send it to them, okay? Send it to them when this live is done, okay? Make sure to tag, share, friends, loves, likes, comments, and questions so Race and I can continue to boost our engagement, but also help you. That's the main purpose behind these lives. So the 4 steps that you can take to start creating some change in your life with the pain and the pleasure are: number 1, write down 4 things that you have been putting off, okay? Write 4 things that you've been putting off, whether that is working out, lifting up some weights to build those muscles, whether it's picking healthy food over junk food, whether it's cleaning up the clothes in your room, right? Or whether it's cleaning up your kitchen, or reading that book that you never said you were going to read, that you said you were going to read, but you put it down and walked away and said, and now that book stand or your table where you're going to sit down at work is just full of random things and not put in place. 4 things that you've been procrastinating on, write it down. That's the first thing you need to do. The second thing is right under those action steps. I want, right under these things, write into these 2 following questions. 1, why haven't I taken this action? Okay, why haven't you packed away your clothes? Oh, no. Well, I just do it later. I didn't have the time. It took a real reason why, I'm guilty of this sometimes, okay? I do not pack away my clothes all the time. Or I sometimes do not eat as healthy as I should. So, I'll write that down. I'll figure out, why do I keep going over to junk food or getting that burger rather than eating this salad here? Well, salads are something to debate, but how can I make this taste a little bit better? Well, I like the burger, it gives me that sense of that juicy meat and that burger bun. Everything just works so well together. Write down these reasons. And then what pain have I linked to taking this action? Oh, switching to this salad or this healthier vegan type of diet or the vegetarian diet. I'm not going to do that, Why haven't this? As a kid, I dislike broccoli. Just kind of understand why you haven't done it, okay? The third reason is, what pleasure have I had from indulging in this negative pattern? From always eating hamburger. I get a sense of drive, Or if you're sitting down and you're trying to lose some weight, why do you keep going towards those brownies in the bag and start eating them up? What plain? Oh, I get so energized from eating this brownie over here, getting that sense of sugar rush. I love it. I love it so much. I love it. And then number 4, what will it cost you if you don't change? If you're not going to take that next step in your business, right? If you kept putting off taking, let's say, opening up an Instagram account, right? Starting up an Instagram account. You've been putting that off. You figured it out. You've seen what the pleasures from not doing it have been. Okay, yeah, I've been growing my Facebook. It's almost at 50,000 people, but I don't have a presence on Instagram, right? What will that cost you if you don't take that change? Well, if I don't get this, I won't be able to reach the hundreds of millions of people on Instagram. Or I won't be able to find that next client who'll pay $10,000 for something I have. Or if you're selling food, I'm not going to get one less person to feed or something, right? And number 5, the last thing that you got to do is write down all the pleasure that you're going to get from taking action on those 4 things. By me taking action on stop eating all the hamburgers every single day of the week and maybe trying some healthier options, right? Oh yeah, I'll be muscular. I'm starting working out. The food I eat helps me to be more productive in my business, and I can grow that Instagram page to that 100K following goal that I've had. Figure these 5 things out. Number 1, I'll repeat them again. Number 1, write down 4 things that you've been putting off. Number 2, under these actions that you've been putting off, Write down why haven't I taken action on it? And in the past, what pain have I linked to it? So that's from step 2. Number 3, what pleasures have I gotten from indulging in this negative pattern? Number 4, what will it cost me if I don't take action on it? And number 5, what pleasure will I get from taking this action? What will be amazing about this? So that was the Facebook Live for today. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy this. Make sure to share this live to people who you think might need to hear, but also take the action that we've said today. If something resonates with you, take it. Amazing. If it doesn't, put it aside. Forget about it. Don't constantly think about it and stuff. And just take that next step moving forward. This was presented by APSO. Awesome people shaping our world. Remember, you are awesome, and you can make the world a better place. Bye!